This program was brought to you by PennyMac TPO. Visit tpo.pennymac.com to learn more about becoming a partner and starting your journey to greatness. With the people, products, and technology to take you there, it's why they say, at PennyMac, greatness lives here.
Welcome to The Interest. I'm Mike Savino. Former employees at Sprout are still trying to figure out what happened. Their companies seem to be doing so well, touting its growth and adding more staff just a few weeks ago. So how can this same company suddenly shut its doors and let go of more than 300 employees? Well, we're learning that Sprout CEO Michael Strauss nixed a deal with Citibank Wednesday morning, just hours before the company held a sudden virtual meeting announcing the closure. According to a former Sprout executive, the company was on track to make a deal with Citibank, but Strauss changed his mind at the last minute. The source spoke with us on a condition of anonymity. After killing the deal, Strauss told another company executive at 3 p.m. Eastern Time Wednesday that he was closing the company and that no one would be paid before the closing, which happened one day before Sprout's typical payday. 90 minutes after that conversation, President Shea Palante used a virtual meeting to tell employees that the company was closing and that they were out of jobs. Palante and Sprout have not responded to our requests for comment, and neither has Citibank. Meanwhile, two company executives, CMO Bev Thorne and CIO Henry Santos, are using LinkedIn to try to help their former colleagues find new jobs. Now, Sprout's not the only company to shed workers this week. Wells Fargo has decided to lay off nearly 200 people in its lending unit. The San Francisco-based lender notified officials in Iowa that they plan to lay off 114 people in their Des Moines office. Combined with earlier layoffs, that totals 197 jobs. Company spokesperson pointed to projections that origination could be down as much as 40% this year as the reason for the job cuts. The home lending displacements are the natural result of cyclical changes in the broader home lending environment and has been acknowledged by most mortgage providers across the industry in recent weeks. In other news, investors have been drawing a lot of ire lately, with critics blaming them for driving up home prices. Even Democrats in Congress say investors are altering the housing market. Well, add Harvard to the growing list of critics, with researchers at the school's Joint Center for Housing Studies saying that by buying up single-family homes, investors have reduced the already limited supply available to potential owner-occupants and moderate-income buyers. The study found that investors were responsible for 28% of single-family home sales in the first quarter of this year, up from 19% during the same period in 2021. And investors are buying up more of these properties at a time when housing inventory can't keep up with demand. So critics say that's driving up prices, and that in turn is pushing families out of the market. But origination is also coming down from last year, and industry experts say loan officers need to work with whoever can afford to buy. Our own Christine Stewart has more.
The impact private investors are having on the housing market might be controversial, but for lending officers, it presents an opportunity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the cost of homes are going up and rates are going up, and it's almost making homes unaffordable for your first-time home buyers especially.
But these private investors are a good way to diversify a lending portfolio.
It's not highly regulated like the NMLS requirement world, and two, because it's not regulated, these loan officers can now deal with their investors in their own state, but help them open up other states.
Felix Ortiz of Rock Capital says they're trying to make loan officers aware of this trend so that they can get more repeat business instead of dealing with the one-time purchase or the cash-out refi because someone has a life change.
It opens up another style of lending to them, but it affords them and gives them opportunity to handle the swings of the conventional world where rates go up and their volume goes down, rates go down, their volume goes up.
The rental market is growing as the dream of home ownership slips away for many.
So, as of right now, the last time I saw the numbers, I believe it's 36% of all households across the U.S. are renting. That could be off a couple percent, right? But give or take, it's going to be in that range. And then we expect, based on the data we've seen, that number has been going up considerably over the last 20 years or so.
Stephen Ballard of RCN Capital says that's why LOs need to be looking for these investors.
Rents tend to either stay stable or go up, even if property values dip a little bit. And so the cash flow is still going to be protected, and the cash flow is what we underwrite to.
As far as the controversial nature of the trend,
the affordability crisis in the U.S. is probably one of the biggest topics to talk about, regardless of what impact you're looking for.
What everyone can agree upon is that there is an undersupply of housing in the U.S.
In my opinion, at least, there's not any one given solution. It's a whole bunch of different solutions that'll have to play together.
For the Mortgage News Network, I'm Christine Stewart.
Of course, many of you got into this industry so you can help people achieve the American dream of home ownership. And that was easy to do as recently as the start of this year with mortgage rates at historic lows. But how do you close loans with the market shifting and home buying becoming too expensive for so many people? We asked some experts at the Ultimate Mortgage Expo in New Orleans.
The sudden increase in mortgage rates and the jump in home prices makes it a scary time to be a loan officer, but some seasoned veterans say not to worry.
My advice to people is don't panic. Just, it's always good to prepare, but when it comes to this, I would just say to make sure that you are actually more conservative in your spending.
Carrie Blackburn, a broker and mortgage educator, says the predicted recession is different than the 2008 one because people have equity in their homes.
You got 90% of homeowners that actually have rates that are under 5% right now.
He says things will turn around, and Scott Halp of PennyMac agrees.
A lot of loan officers have not experienced a market like this before. So instead of catching loans, you now have to go out and find them and try to generate them through referral sources.
Anyone who entered the mortgage industry within the last 5 years has less experience with this type of market. So how should they drum up new business?
They should go back to their clients that they've done business with and look at that as a farming opportunity.
What else can loan officers do to drum up business?
Going to open houses on Saturdays and just stopping by and seeing, dropping off little goodies, just to get your name in front of them, and tell a realtor, hey, take a break and I'll stand here for you for the next hour. And if people come in, we'll make sure, to give them your name and number. And going to different chambers of commerce, believe it or not, now that COVID's over and people are meeting face to face, is getting yourself in front of networking opportunities.
For those of you who missed the Ultimate Mortgage Expo this week in New Orleans, there's still time to register for Originator Connect in Las Vegas in August. For the Mortgage News Network, I'm Christine Stewart.
On a good note, we continue to see signs that home price growth is easing up. According to Redfin, a record number of sellers are dropping their price. That's likely because demand keeps falling, and the market slowdown is giving buyers more opportunities to negotiate, especially with sellers whose homes have been on the market for a while. In fact, an average of 7% of home sellers dropped their listing price weekly during the 4-week period ending on July 7th. That's the most since Redfin started tracking the data in 2015. Now, 52% of home sales still were above asking price, but that's down nearly 4 points from the peak in mid-May. And that's forcing sellers to moderate their price tags even when putting homes on the market. The median price for a new listing was up 15% from last year, but that growth is down 2% from the high mark set just a month earlier. And one way buyers can take advantage of this shift is by seeking concessions, including asking the seller to buy down your mortgage rate, pay for repairs, or cover some of the closing costs.
This program was brought to you by PennyMac TPO. Visit tpo.pennymac.com to learn more about becoming a partner and starting your journey to greatness.
For more on these and all of today's top stories, go to mortgagenewsnetwork.com.